then for T1 Desire, doesn't necessarily work that well with the comp. It's a very self-sufficient pick. And then Camille Galio Classic augmented by the Pike. But I don't want to talk about draft. Both drafts had their moments. Both drafts had clear windows where they could win.
Yeah, I thought the Camille was a little bit hasty. Really like the Camille Galio idea, of course, but I thought it was slightly early. It's the only real criticism I had on T1's side. Yeah, the carrier Pike last pick.
Mas o Showmaker é bem
That's
tech,
fine.
né?
Chef's kiss. Absolutely.
Eles draftaram first pick TF.
Loved every
Eles
second of it.
devolveram o
We want to get
Jagalho,
into
que é
some
check
rune
muito
choices
bom de
because
rotação, né?
Very quickly,
there's something we want to
Olha
talk
só, o
about
cara
Dr.
ficou com
particular
Condition
choice.
e
Yeah, because
Overgrowth.
even though it didn't work, I'm still going to call out. We call out bad drafts when they do work, so we got to call out good choices when they don't work as well. And that's Dogdom going for the secondary resolve. It's something that we've called for often, and that is actually really good in this context. Now, did it work? No. Dogdom,
Arcane shifting into a Galio is
you're tankier. You're not invulnerable, but conditioning an overgrowth into a dive composition, especially a Piker as well, can provide a lot of value. You can get to the later stage of the game, a lot of free resistances, which can buy you this crucial extra second. So nice setup there. The cookie we're going to ignore, but that the secondary cheat, that was nice.
Yep, that part of it, ignore the experience part entirely, and that's absolutely fine. But let's get into some highlights, because we want to boost through this as quickly as possible. This game was full of them. There were so many sick plays this game.
And it started off with a big dumb one, which is Nuguri surviving for so long amidst 4 people, and you might wonder, how does he stay alive? We were wondering as well, because of the kill, and Carrier missing the ultimate. He actually stays alive because of that. There's no Triumph Rocks, there's no resets. And as a result, the rest of them can keep going. And this solidifies the early lead that was started by Nuguri finding a 1v1 solo kill on top.
And then immediately, Carrier decides that he wants to get his revenge. And then our next highlight, it was just the most beautiful display of Pike antics. His reaction times as well are just unbelievable. On this Pike. It's really impressive stuff.
It's not even like that was just, that was also like Zeus or
eles pegaram Camille também.
Yeah, no, but
Já dava pra ver que o draft deles
tinha whose mistake is it is kind of a question, but display. Watch Carrier here, and watch how Zeus actually stays alive, because Canyon flashes, Carrier flashes. That split-second flash keeps Zeus alive, means that the play is even better. More gold goes into the pocket, and the reason why we go for these super high action highlights, we could have picked like 10 more, is because as soon as T1 gains control, they were clearly the stronger team, and they were able to out-rotate in particular with their comp. It's an RNG comp, you're supposed to do that, and they did it very well. But the level of mechanical play from both teams
eles
was
pegaram
just
Zide first, eu achei até estranho, porque Kalista tava open. Mas tudo bem. Eu acho que é porque deveria ser fraco contra esse Karma. Mas Kalista tava open e ele não picou. E dava até pra ver, mano. Tipo, até os próprios nadas, mano. A cara do Moishi que ele não está confortável com esse.
This is where the Zaya pick weirdly it just works, and the only reason why it works is all it needed to do in that moment is buy like 3 extra seconds, and it did. That's all I needed to do. Oh, yeah, drawing people away, that's nice. Walk into my pit canyon, see if I can. And then it doesn't work out, they get the Hextech Soul, and then every subsequent fight all of a sudden isn't posted all anymore, then they get a pick up Canyon, and pick up a freebie Baron, and that's the end of it. Kind of an underwhelming ending, but the journey is what matters, you know? It's not the destination, and the journey was wonderful.
It was ridiculous, and throughout the earlier stages as well, I mean, we do have to talk about the fact that Damwon did have a relatively large amount of control at the beginning of the game. With the composition that they had, they certainly had bought themselves that. However, the way T1 finessed their way back into the game was amazing. So let's go over to player of the game and see whether it is in fact Carrier. And it is. 100% kill contribution at 14 minutes, 4-0-2. The guy was just amazing.
And the reason why I drew the RNG parallel is because this is somewhat reminiscent. Even though it wasn't a decisive lead, T1's leads at MSI were generally a lot the feeling of giving up some early leads into out-skirmishing and out-rotating your opponent consistently was what beat T1 at MSI. Like, it was, this is the dream RNG comp, right? Maybe it shouldn't be Pike, maybe it should be a Leona or a Novus, but outside of that, the Camille Galio, it's very, very reminiscent of what beat T1. So seeing him take that comp and then pull it off like that, love it.
Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, I like the mix of votes as well. The votes came on through, and I think that he had a great early to mid game. His lead sin's always an absolute joy to watch. 21 right now, 21 and 2. Oh my god, just absurd. And speaking about numbers that begin with 20, 23 is on the horizon. It is now the last possible opportunity for them to not equalize with 2015 SKT's amazing 23 in a row domestic victories. Amazing stuff. So we are going to throw it back to the casters and get into that possibly deciding game 2.
Mordekaiser, quer dizer, versus essa comp foi draft muito bem feito. Inclusive o começo
Thank you, Carpet Spaceman, for your wonderful breakdown there once again. Very glad that Carrier did pick it up, especially with the focus on that outplay in the top side, saving Owner as well. I believe the number, by the way, is 24 that they are trying to achieve today.
That's right, they're 23 right now.
Yeah, they did tie 23. They're going to try to pick up 24 match wins in a row today if they can take down Damwon in just one more game.
Yeah, and it'll be the first team to do so, to beat the win rate, or rather the streak of SK Telecom T1 in 7 years. And be the same org, actually, to do it, which is what's more poignant. Damwon Kia will pick blue side again here after the loss, of course. And I mean, I do really appreciate the highlights we had there, because picking out those micro moments that brought T1 back into the game, which then allowed Carrier to control vision and set up multiple plays, because there were a million highlights, like they said, that you could have shown, but there's only so much time on the desk. It's great to see. I did get the update from G-Sun that Zeus' profile picture on Instagram is the Psyduck, so that's and I know that because I'm pretty sure I follow him, I just didn't think of it at the time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I also just saw a picture of Faker as a flower in the audience, so, you know, if they want to attach random pictures or whatever, that's okay too. Yeah, Damwon select blue side again. That is absolutely the right choice. What are they going to choose here in this draft, though? Because certainly, you know, the TF question, you know, did they go for that again? Even with Showmaker being so strong on it, it's not necessarily a huge meta pick right now. Do they try their luck at a Mordekaiser again? You know, certainly some interesting picks and choices were made in this draft by Damwon.
Tom Kent and Gangplank, I think, are definitely
bands
that they should pick regardless here as Damwon Kia. So I think those being the same makes sense. See if they change something up here in the third band spot. It would be really interesting if they don't pick TF and then Faker picks it, and then we actually get to see T1 play their variation of it. So we'll be Zeri once again. Same bands here for Damwon Kia. I don't think T1 will ban the Twisted Fate because they seem to be pretty ready to deal with that draft, as was already shown. I hope we don't get a run back, because I think there's so much more depth between these two teams we could see. Wukong will once again be the final choice. So let's see. Damwon Kia, we're running it back, aren't we? We're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, as T1, I think just going for the same thing is fine, you know? It worked. They looked very strong on it. They don't have to. Maybe Faker decides to go for a Silas this time. You know, it did receive some buffs on this patch, but
the one problem with T1 doing the same thing again, because even though it's very strong, is you will not get all of the same tools this time around, because Damwon Kia will adjust their bans. Whereas, for example, the weak side Mordekaiser could have been a Gragas, like you were kind of mentioning, like he could have picked last time around. Didn't end up being the case, but like you can't really target ban Damwon Kia's playstyle, whereas Damwon Kia can take with Pike, you know, and mess with you a little bit. They can take with Isaiah if they're feeling frustrated about dealing with that one. Obviously, it didn't end up being the most impactful of the 5 champions T1 had on that last draft, but they'll pick the Gwen actually early on, it looks like here.
Early blind Gwen, that it doesn't get banned in the second phase like it did in Game 1. So here's the first big change from Damwon.
O Gwen é dos champions não bancáveis, eu acho, de Galho. Se for Camille, né? Eu não tenho certeza, mas eu diria que é, porque Gwen's immune, não que não dê pra você o Galho lutar, mas Gwen's immune igual a mais armor.
Can be a very strong pick here. I think the Ezreal is not an issue unless, you know, the Arcane shifts into a flash taunt. Again, there was a lot of shade thrown at Dom on the desk, but like, I'm not actually trying to throw shade. I'm just kind of calling back to what they were saying, but I think it was more of a proactive play from Faker than it was was a huge mistake from Duckdown, but at the end of the day, I think the pick is very strong. We saw that one overextension T1 had where they kicked him and couldn't kill him. It was a very strong pick in the last game, and it will be here too. Camille, you were already priced into it with the Galio here. You're not going to be like, never mind, I'm just going to have Galio without Camille into this composition. You have to pick it, so... We will see the same Poppy ban because it's busted against T1's comp. That's not going to come through.
They do get an extra ban this time, potentially a Karma. Because the Gwen is picked.
Yeah.
Instead of the Karma, they could just ban the Karma. If they don't want to deal with the Ezreal Karma lane, could open up some new options for T1's bottom lane.
I think Damwon would be wise to ban the Pike this time around with the Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa is the strongest pick with this draft, obviously. And then if you take away the Pike, the strongest aspect of the Pike was the ability to continue to dive the top side of the map. And then the second strongest part was the Umbreblade, because removing vision means that T1 will always ultimately be able to set up fights on their terms every single time. And it's the best, and really the only support you can build Umbreblade on right now and make it viable.
There is Senna support, or Senna in general. I mean, it hasn't been banned this time around. If you do want to try to fit this in, it does have really nice range, and you could just kind of Dawning Shadows from behind the huge amount of engage that you have.
Yeah, the heals really do just make this comp even more unkillable as it runs at you. They'll pivot to the Xayah. That was shown last time around. So we'll see if T1 still want to run the Pike with whatever AD carry they choose. The Jhin pick that you and I were talking about last draft, I think, still fits here too. Oh, the Kalista though.
Falando da Kalista aí, cara,
falei que very strong with this draft, fits the bill. I mean, can be very strong into Ezreal, but Karma's still open. So I think that's what we see here for Damwon Kia. And the more defensive Kindred they didn't choose last time, I think would be a nice adaptation. Oh, do not like this one as much.
This is the opposite of defensive. Certainly you can kind of shut the lights off and potentially stop the big engages from T1. So actually, you know, in a sense, it is kind of defensive against what they are running into, but obviously TF and Nocturne can do a lot of offensive plays.
It's just not really a great target to dive with Nocturne into T1. Like, yeah, you can turn the lights off and ruin their engage sometimes, but otherwise, like,
I guess?
Yeah, like Kalista, I guess. Like, killing this Galio is going to be hard. Now, this is really cool because it allows you to kind of shape the map to your liking and avoid fights against T1 very easily, and then you can, of course, you know, basically make your team invincible when they decide to come in, and or stasis T1 members are diving you, so that you can then follow up. Oh, okay. I thought we might see this today, but I didn't think it was going to be Keria.
Oh.
No.
Come on, it was perfect.
It was actually so insanely good for this.
It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, you
even have a Kalista.
Yeah, you build Rylai's, you have power in the lane. I mean, yeah, you're going to have problems in Bard Ezreal in the early parts of the phase, but you're also not going to get the same gold you would with the Senna comp. But it could have been good. I think Senna with Singed could have been a very good way to round this draft out. But it will be the boring Nautilus in this case. Very strong into the Ezreal, obviously.
The player who won our
first. Going to be a very squishy support that isn't going to be able to do much if he's caught out ever. So the vision game here, once again, going to be difficult for Damwon Kia if they fall behind. I actually think T1 got the, like last time I thought, okay, Damwon figured it out, and if they, you know, stave off the pressure, they're going to be better off. And even with Mordekaiser getting ahead, it didn't turn out that way. But this time around, I think T1's draft is arguably even stronger than it was the last time. The Kalista pick really comes in clutch here.
It certainly feels more well-rounded, right? The Xayah was kind of like out on her own. The Kalista is like, yep, we're hitting that same note, and it just feels so good. I really like the Bard in this comp. I think you can get a ton of space with it, and obviously the big one is the Tempered Fate. You know, once the engage comes in, you drop it down. You really need to be on your game, though. So Kellen's got to be like right there, not getting caught, and also having like perfect Tempered Fate. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's very hard to pull off, and he's going to be tested tonight in the second game here.
Looks like we do have a second game. No bugs. Let's jump into it.
14 min já, cara? Que isso? Meu Deus. E começou!
And we're gonna begin the game with some shenanigans.
DK versus T1, ADK vem de perdido LOL, aposenta Canyon LOL. Esse cara não dá pra desrespeitar. Shoemaker, não sei nem como é que fala o nome desse. E Kellen. Mentira, tem que falar Docdan não, Docdan, é quase um Doc direto. Doc agora Discover Kids. Discover Kids, né? Ia ter um vem de Zeus LOL, o homem do jogo. Owner LOL, Boner LOL, desculpa. Falso LOL, T1, Guma Yushi queria mais baixo que eu. Não.
Take a look at some of the runes here. Same rune selection from Duckdom. It's cool that they did point that one out.
Vamos ver como é que vai ser essa partida agora, cara. Tem mais engage ainda. A T1, depois de ter engajado naquela partida, não gostou e tá engajando mais. Porra.
Everything else looking pretty much the same. The first strike was off from Zeus. Last game there again. Treasure Hunter for Guma Yushi I think is great to get Calista some of that extra gold if you're snowballing the game. Pretty busted rune. They took one busted rune and replaced it with another one. It's very good for solo queue if you're ready to carry. And Guma Yushi does carry pants on like he does every day. His lucky ones.
Acho que é isso,
né? The studio is,
yeah. He does wash it every day, though, he told me.
Yeah, it's not like a stinky lucky pants.
No, yeah.
É isso mesmo. Tem que mudar, mas
you gotta make sure
o Showmaker,
feeling
os
good.
caras nem mexeram as runas, velho.
That's kind of close.
Very close.
Qualidade desse.
Duckdown, of course, level 1 still, so it would have been a great trade for them.
Ah, não, mas também, agora que eu lembrei,
tava
achando meio mais ou menos um pick de
I like the attempt, even though it doesn't work out. So this Nocturne pick is so interesting to me because it feels like it will just have to be used as re-engage or just, as you mentioned, kind of stopping the fight. And this could be a disaster.
There is a relatively large wave, but it's not huge. Owner also does not have red buff. He skipped it to make this happen. The cube sails wide. But the slow will come in. Nuguri is still hanging around, just chipping away here, but looks like the damage should be enough. Owner is taking a lot, though, when the Q finally comes in. And Zeus will actually pick up the first blood.
So patient was Nuguri here. Does not ignite, actually. So he might have actually been able to secure that one. Would have been very close. Does not commit to the ignite. He waited, though, to make sure he could stack the Q onto both with the 4 stacks there. Very late into the fight and almost is able to make it happen, but will go down here. Forward percentage coming back to bite him this time around. That's another isolated death.
Yeah. He's back here once again. You see that Camille actually has a very nice win rate against the Gwen. We talked a little bit about the Gwen versus Akali matchup yesterday, where the Akali's just, you know, especially if it gets ahead, you're just inside that mist. The Gwen can't really get away from you, so it can be difficult. You can dodge the needles very nicely. Feel like Camille definitely has some pieces of that puzzle as well.
And here in the LCK, we don't really like Jax. We don't talk about Jax. We don't.
He doesn't even have a real weapon. So like, it's not that cool.
Yeah,
to be honest.
LCK teams don't like him because he doesn't team fight as well.
Okay, this is very aggressive, but it should be enough. Showmaker not even going to flash.
Okay, T1 are in such a good spot. This is the exact opposite of last game, where they have complete control and they have the bottom, you know, lane in their favor because it's Kalista and Ezreal Bard early on into the game. So they have Prio there. There's not a lot of options or opportunities here for Damwon in this early part of the game now. Extremely slowed down.
Nuguri hits level 5. He's taking very aggressive trades. You see the early cull purchase, pretty common here. Zeus going to go for that, and Nuguri on a Doran's ring still, taking very aggressive trades. Here's Kellen, extremely caught out. That's not the magical journey you were looking for. Easy kill. Guma just going to scoop that one up as Keria finds a very lonely Bard.
And I'm starting to feel like history might get broken tonight. The record might get broken, history might be made, whatever. History made. Historical record team. We might wipe another SK Telecom T1 off the history books, because as funny as it is and as sad as it is, I guess, if you've been following for so long, like, T1 just keeps taking SKT T1 off of the board, like, yeah, and you know, it does feel cool to see that old team name and the old logo in some of our graphics. You know, we think about the legacy they hold, but we're not there yet. But we are fast approaching it. You know, the train is speeding. As watch Nugger here wait, gets his fourth empowered Q set up here. It goes on the brush, gets both of them with the sidestep. Nerf, you know, that E, but not going to be impactful in this case, of course. Showmaker here just gets totally owned. Faker flash for the taunt. He's on top of him. If he flashes there, he might still be on the edge of the taunt. But I think he probably should have tried for it. I mean, it was going to be close.
Yeah. Didn't respect it. Tell him here he gets totally caught out. That magical journey can be a bit troll at times, and that's one of those little, you know, nooks in the wall that can get kind of cut off there. Kind of what I was talking about with Bard, not that situation specifically, but you basically have to be perfect at some times in the game if you're going to play as a champion.
Yeah, it's so hard to play at a professional level. Yeah, especially against a comp like this that's so aggressive. And
even Lumao, the guy that used to play it all the time, he would like pick it out every single game, and then there was just a couple of games where just too many things went wrong, and then it kind of
tá, o Fake já puxou. Então, dessa vez eu não sei, né? Da outra vez, só o Fake em vez de tem um flint, né? Que é o negócio que quanto menos HP, menos CC você toma. Você já ganha uma tenacity básica ali, mesmo no full life. E fecha no City de Boots, né? O City de Boots pra galho é padrão, né? Rushar. Mas agora nessa partida, na outra partida, só tinha praticamente TF, mano. TF e o W da Karma como CC, né? Porque o slow do treino, o slow do treino, como ele fica no chão, o jeito contra o slow do treino você tem que, como é que fala? Buildar Swift Disputes, porque ele reduz. Não, pera, calma. Tô falando merda, acho. Não, tô falando merda não, tá certo, tá certo. A Tenacity vai diminuir o tempo do slow. A Swift Disputes tira porcentagem de slow, isso mesmo, tá certo. Então, contra o Edotrando, você resolve só com os Swift Disputes. Merx não resolve pra nada. Aí eles tinham o que? Mordekaiser, Trando, TF, EZ e Karma. Então a única coisa que serviria Merx é no caso Tenacity, né? Serviria pro W, pro TF e o W da Karma só. É isso no caso quando o Faker, né? Lembrando. Revelando o raciocínio. Caralho, vai ter 4 caras no gancho. O gancho já sabe. Falou, tchau. Aí, nessa partida, cara, eu sei que eu teria rushado no City Boots também, mas esse aqui vai ser meio duro, né? Tipo, é triste você buildar Merx, mas eu acho que eu teria buildado Merx também. Eu consideraria muito, né? Não sei nem se o Faker considerou, deve ser considerado também, mas eu teria considerado demais, né? Porque agora tem o E do Nocturne, o WTF e o Q do Bard. O R do Bard não funciona, que Stasis não entra na dimensão do Merx. Da Tenacity, no caso. Caralho, eu fiquei já tá de Lost Chapter já. Errou, enfim. Eu ficaria considerando mais agora, porque tem mais CCs agora, né? Porque, tipo, o W da Karma nem sempre pega também, né? O Q do Bard pega bem mais. Mas que isso pra criticar, né? Isso aqui eu só tô pontuando, só estou pontuando pautas aqui. Porque se não falar nada, eu sou o pior caster do Brasil. Ah, agora que eu entendi, mano. Eles estão falando que ele quase pegou 6. Faltou um minion pro 6 e ele não conseguiu coisar o Arauto. F birubiru, mano.
Yeah, I mean,
O Zillow picou, mano. Ele pega first strike mesmo. Louco LOL, mano. Mesmo contra, tipo, o Gwen, acho que é foda, né? Se picar first strike. Não que, tipo, você não aguente dano, mas... Ela proca primeiro, não proca? Quer dizer, mais ou menos, né? Não engage assim mesmo, você proca sempre. Porque você que tá pulando, entendeu? Não tem como você não procar antes, acho.
They still have the scaling Gwen, who's significantly ahead in CS. Good matchup for the Gwen.
Caraca, a lua tá ali ainda. Nossa, pera aí, mano. Deixa eu ver. A lua tá lá ainda.
Maintaining good CS. He's been under a lot of pressure. His support died once, but he got a plate. Still scaling.
Deixa eu ver se eu vou tirar a foto aqui.
T1 are only 1,000 gold ahead, so by T1 standards,
eu quero tirar uma foto com pixel bom. Pera aí.
If you look at some of the champions they're running and the amount of setup, especially the Callista, Faker's actually going to have to hop out of here. Definitely a very
Faker lutou pra sair, mano. Foi nem pra ajudar, ele foi pra sair. Ih, o Showmaker nas tuas costas. Peraí, não, peraí. Caraca, mano. Peguei do time flash, ele deu certo.
Not sure what it is about Ezreal's in this week. Dying with their flash up, but
Owner, chuta.
Now that might just be even more. Canyon is being run down here. It's looking like they hand it over to Duma, and this is going to be Kellen as well.
O LS pode até criticar. Cara, do Faker, meu Deus.
Faker's just holding the Drake aggro, so Owner can come over and finish it off. Doesn't need a smite. Not gonna waste his cooldown on that one.
O LS pode até criticar o Lee Sin, mano, porque o Lee Sin é um tipo meio, mano, se for ver, não. O clear dele não é tão rápido, ele é forte em skirmish, mas tem champion que é forte skirmish e não... e o clear é mais rápido, né? Então, tipo, deixa eu ver o Lee Sin, e o Lee Sin cai muito late game, tem champion que é melhor late game, entendeu? O LS é hater de clear, então...
Yes. And then he comes over here.
Mas, mano, o do Wonderwall você não pode criticar, cara. Olha ali, o Showmaker do outro lado ali, ó. Louco, LOL. Dr. Tom, nossa, Dr. Tom. Eu amei.
It's just... You're also trying to force this play so hard as Damwon Kia.
Olha lá. Aí eles forçaram muito também, na verdade.
Like, oh, he's almost dead, let me hold for this, we're gonna play for this.
Deixa eu ver se eu consigo pegar um ângulo bom aqui. Eu quero tirar foto do monitor, pelo menos um pedaço dele. E a lua ali, ó.
So deep into a comp, that's so much CC, like, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like 4v4, you've got a low health member. If Canyon is there and he can paranoia Faker, you can set something up. But what they didn't know is that it was actually 4v3 because Duckdom didn't exist.
Come on.
And after that happened, they lose basically all of their damage. And then you're just running.
Gonna have to see some Ducker Z in the chat for Duckdom after this.
Maybe we should apply the side up to him in this one, unfortunately.
It's just, the craziest part about this is you're trying to dive onto a Galio, and like this is where I have problems with a Nocturne too. I'm like, if you try to do the same thing as Nocturne, like Twisted Fate Nocturne, oldest duo in the book, like, oh yeah, we can get them from a million miles away, but who do you get? Like, you're actually trying to get on top of the comp that's full function is to run at you. Duckdom's like running at this comp, but you're running at this comp and you die. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to be close to them ever. Yeah, I think this is a huge draft error from Damwon Kia, and then the execution has now fallen apart.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does feel that way. I think after game one, they kind of went for the, okay, we're gonna play against T1 kind of leaning back in our chairs because we don't want the fight. This time, certainly taking the fight to T1, but that's maybe not a good idea either. As Duggery has landed all of these needles as Zeus is going to do a fantastic job dodging a lot, and actually Owner will be safe for a while, but now here comes Showmaker going to pick up Zeus as Faker
is
not going to kill Duggery. Actually tries to escape, but that will not work out either.
Completely interrupted there. And finally, Damwon Kia strikes back. T1 once again with a small overextension, and the fight looked clean for T1 though. They were there, they were set up, they were ready to pull this off. And then Canyon's able to get to the backside, but also the amount of needlework damage, as you pointed out in the play-by-play from Duggery, was just massive. And then Kellen hits his ultimate. The Tempered Fate actually locks them in so they cannot escape. And that's something that can absolutely happen a ton in these fights where T1 run through. We talked about it in the draft. Half the team is running in the backside of the fight. Whoever's either retreating because they have low health bars or the AD carry who wasn't in this fight.
passinho.
Gets left out to dry when the tempered fate happens.
Ali no
then
top,
the
cara,
Nocturne
ver.
jumps over the tempered fate and gets onto the back line. And that can happen. In this case, it's all allowed to happen because Nuguri is immune, first of all. Then the needlework comes through. He jumps over here. Really nice defensive ult from Zeus. Tempered fate is locked in. Zeus like, do I come back in or not?
Não
And
tinha que
it's
fazer.
just too late. Showmaker
A
gets
partir
on
do momento
top.
que o...
Both teams were setting up for the fight.
Tipo,
Damwon just
a
played
partir
it
do
better
momento que o
this time
Nuguri já tinha
around.
ido pra cima, não tinha o que fazer mais.
Excellent
Alguém já tava
temper
morto ali já,
and of
entendeu?
course, a great initial trade from Nuguri.
E aí, se fosse pra não acontecer alguma coisa, ia demorar, tipo, ia ser muito lá
She's still the
atrás.
same champion, essentially.
Ih, vazou o
Bombing
mouse.
Cinder, by the way.
Pera, o quê?
What are we doing
Porra, de build de
now?
ward, mano.
What's going on here?
Cara, ele tem 2 kills. Ah, mano, ele
could be
tem
the
2 kills,
Chem
cara.
Crossfire Gauntlet, you know?
Jogo,
Nah,
né,
Chem Tank, Bard.
Chem Tank. Bard has always had some really strange builds. As, by the way, we're talking about items. T1 are just breaking down the front door. Okay, this time the Temper Fate is there. But that is going to be a big ultimate that is down to stop that.
I think this is kind of a win
RFC,
for
cara.
Damwon
Olha só.
in the
Nova build do
amount of
Bard.
gold that Duckdom picks up for this, because his gold is going to be more valuable. And yeah, Twisted Fate losing his turret
Kraken
against this
Slayer
extremely
e
dive-heavy
RFC,
comp
nova
T1
build do Bard.
makes Showmaker's life a little bit more
Vazou
difficult to play, but
Não pegou.
now is the time where Duckdom
RFC,
goes mid
mano,
and just
RFC.
farms from free range, and then you're
Ih,
going to have the
Showmaker morreu.
1-3-1 happening
Fraco.
with Nuguri
Na
and
partida não tinha morrido.
Showmaker at
Perdeu
side
sem
lane,
morrer.
so not as significant. Now, if they get the inner, or the inhibitor turret, rather, then it's really cool and
Agora eles vão
that
pro
charge is
drag.
massive, but
Ah,
it's denied.
Clopsou, velho.
And
Pra
yeah, some
pro
gold
time
going over
deles não é
here
tão
to
ruim,
T1,
mas...
but it's not a massive
Quer dizer,
lead.
pra
It's still
DK,
just that
DK pegar o
1,000 after that win
console,
on the top
total,
side for
mas...
Damwon Kia. Cloud, Soul Point on the line here in this fight.
Eu acho que
Look
ele,
at the flank angle
na
for
teamfight
Zeus.
eles não
Doesn't
perdem
have flash,
fudendo,
but he could
velho.
definitely trap some of
Cara,
these
isso tá
rotating
gigante.
Damwon players.
Yeah, Destiny does come in though. They're trying to get on top
É
of Carrier
só
here,
não
but
morrer
again,
separado, ó.
Showmaker
Ó, não morrer separado já,
extremely
tá
deep to
bom.
try to pick that off. And
Agora
now
tem
it's
que
the
pular,
Destiny
tem
down.
que pular bonito.
It is going to group up Damwon and
Ah lá,
deny the
achou
flank
que ele...
as a
Nossa,
big Death
botou o
Charge does
Duckdom,
come in
tá
as
fora da fight.
Duckdom is just out of the fight.
Pegou,
Gets
nossa,
a big
olha.
true shot
Cara,
barrage as the damage now coming out here from Damwon, but it's not quite enough. They're going to take down Gwen as well. T1 now 5v3. A lot of low health bars, but it's not quite there for Damwon. T1 take another big fight.
It's just so hard to play the comp that Damwon is running. You can see the ideas, you can see the lights get turned off, Nocturnes come in, True Shot lines up when they all come over. As soon as the engage happens, that's when the lights get turned off. The True Shot damage is big, and they have Gwen and Duckdom on the Ezreal to be able to clean up those health bars if they do enough, but in this case it just wasn't.
Tomou o
And
hook.
they kind of baited this
Aí
one
o
in
Nautilus
themselves.
apontou ali, ó. O Z já tá fora.
Onto Duckdom is
O guard
pretty
foi de
massive
caixa.
'cause it actually
Coisa
slows
não
him
tá
down,
dando
but the
mais,
True
velho.
Shot damage is still real.
Tá dando, mas entendeu? Ele poderia ter dado mais se ele tivesse mais perto, mas faltou. Você vê, ó, faltou... As health bars estavam bem low. Mais um pouquinho de dano do EZ, tinha jogo. Inclusive, só o EZ dá dano se... né? Teoricamente, assim, só o EZ dá dano. O TF não dá dano.
Yeah. I really like the addition of the Gwen into this composition because I do feel like that while Ezreal is very good at getting away from all of the dive from T1, he doesn't do well firing Mystic shots and tanks. As here we go, another big play on the top side. They're trying to lock down Faker, but a lot of T1 are here. Another teleport going to be used as they try to isolate Carrier again, but he is quick on the play. And Duckdom is alone again. Huge temper fate at least is going to come in, and Duckdom does survive. Actually is able to turn it around as Faker, the only one there on the front side. Guma was not here. That means that Damwon will actually pick up a kill. After all that.
The flanking Ezreal isn't always the right call, but when it is, it really is. Showmaker!
Yeah, Guma's in some trouble. He is going to have to use that cleanse. Big Death Charge again, going to catch 3 of them. As, yeah, not quite able to lock down Guma, but they do get his
foi tudo aqui, cara. O EZ saiu vivo ainda da brincadeira. Cara, é o TP mais usado da história. Faker deu o taunt e ele saiu vivo ainda.
Minus the miss on the first Rift Herald charge, he's been quite clean, and obviously the magical journey is there too, but taunted, stunned, and then he has his flash.
Ah, o Zeus LoL não tinha ult, ó. Chegou agora só, cara. Olha que triste. Ah, então, na T1, se for ver, não tem muito dano também, mano. Não tem tanto dano assim. O galho dá dano, mas é um dano ok, mas não super dano. A Camille dá bastante dano contra o damage, pelo menos. O Lissin até que dá um dano mais ou menos também. Mais dano que o Nocturne, com certeza. Mas é um dano meio mais ou menos também. A Kalista late game. Ai, perdeu a catapa. A Kalista late game é que eu não sei, mano. O problema da Kalista é ela conseguir bater, velho.Ela dá dano, só que ela precisa conseguir bater. Nesse time, como tem tanto engage assim, a Kalista consegue bater. Então acho que dá pra dizer que a Kalista dá dano também nessa partida aqui. Kalista dá dano, Galho dá mais ou menos, Lissin dá mais ou menos, Camille dá bastante também. No time da DK só tem a Gwen e o EZ. O resto dá muito pouco dano. Então, teoricamente, a Camille fica enorme essa partida aqui. A Kalista, se ela buildar, tipo, algum... Dependendo dos itens que ela buildar, se ela buildar Wit's End, o TF já é garantido que não dá dano, a Gwen dá um pouco menos, porque ela dá true damage, né? Mas a Gwen dá menos. O EZ dá menos também, um pouquinho menos, né? Então, eu imagino que seja um RFC não, Wit's End de terceiro item pouco mais. Ó, já ia falar também, ó, só que esse time tá muito concentrado em AD, né? Só o fake tem dano AP. Aí o Nelor já veio com o Black Cleaver, que é pra tirar Armor Pain, né? Armor Pain não. Tirar Armor Pain Select. Tá, o Gumer tá fazendo bot RK, né? É, bot RK, certeza. Olha, o Canyon já tá de Frozen Heart, mano. Forte. Porque se for ver, não precisa de Black Cleaver contra T1, né? Não tem nem Armor e outra coisa. Quem que bate AD aí também direito? O EZ bate AD, mas ele bate tanto AP quanto AD, né? Tá. Como é que vai fazer? Eu ia falar, ou é bot RK ou é Wit's End, mano. É um dos dois, eu já tinha certeza. Mas eu acho que pegaria o Wit's End aqui. Acho, né? Wit's End é a opção mais cagada do pelado. Caralho, eles estão indo, gente. Pegaram algumas... Tem que tá morto.
Stopwatch is what's going to save Duck Flight. He finally does go down, but the heavy lifting again is Nuggery. The needles come through, and he pushes them into that huge front line of T1.
So ends up being a trade here, but a much better trade for the side of Damwon Kia, and it's going to allow them to stop T1 from getting that Cloud Soul. So preemptive setup play. Now, T1 look like they make a test. Owner does have Smite available. Teleport coming in though, this is very greedy if T1 really want to secure this now. I think you're just going to have to back off, and they do think better of it. But what's so beautiful about this play for Damwon Kia is these stragglers.
Okay,
pegou isso?
I mean, it is Canyon with the shields though,
quase,
so it's kind of difficult to force this T1.
Espera, o Winner ainda vai.
Still going in.
Puta, chegou.
Now you've got Nuggery behind you, there's a Cloud Rift as well, but at the end of the day,
eu já tava achando, tipo, não tem como eles morrerem aqui. Ah, forçou o Baron. Ah, tem uma wardzinha só.
Very big tempo play.
Vai, meu Deus. Eu acho que até dá pra fazer, velho. Tem Kalista, né? Kalista Smite, Wonder Smite 2k é igual a... Pode smitar. 2k
But yeah, the damage isn't quite there, it feels like, for T1, and there's not really a way for them to get out of here as the Paranoia comes down. Carrier's down, but he's trying to sacrifice. They get the Baron, and T1 are just trying to get out of here. The back promoter will not happen, but he can just hop the wall.
Faker foi sacrificado também,
will be the ones that sacrifice.
Olha, eu ainda assim escolheria essa play, acho. Mesmo sacrificando 2, sacrificando 3 aí já não.
Actually, I mean, they're playing with fire. Showmaker's not even that
healthy,
but
I'll take it.
At the end of the day, I mean, T1 get away with it. It's actually a very nice tempo Baron play.
Yeah, it's going to give them a lot of control over the map, despite the kills here. It's much more significant that they'll have this pushing power in the vision that comes with it. So I think we're going to go way back to this play.
Só que ele ficando 2 é a beira do como tá ruim, tá ligado? Mas eu acho que eu faria isso. Olha, mano, o Mas não teve como sair vivo, velho. Caralho. Aí tá sem cleanse. Ah, o de cleanse aí é viu, certeza, mano. Os caras aproveitaram que tava sem cleanse, então com time, certeza. Ah, e o Wonderlaw quase pega o Kenny. Nossa, se o Wonderlaw pega o Kenny, ele pulava ali no meio, mano. Ele, nossa, ele aguentava um tempo ali embaixo.
And then because their group win Damwon here, like, ooh, he took some extra damage, so let's back off. T1 does this so much where they're like, oh yeah, you guys escaped, haha, like you guys got away, but we're just gonna go straight to Baron, you won't expect it.
Ah, eles vão até de Faker mesmo, porque é o único que não sai, né? Não sai vivo, né? Então,
but they did all back, they did all set up, so they have just enough damage for this Calista comp to take the Baron, and yes, it's at the cost of Faker and Carrier's lives here, but it's way more valuable, yeah.
Ah não, é o Widzend mesmo, eu falei. Eu tinha esquecido que o Widzend faz pickaxe, mano. Eu tinha esquecido dessa.
Flash was used by Duckdom, so I guess now he can't miss his flash in team fights because he doesn't have it.
Caralho, olha o Duckdom fez zonas. Ótimo, ele foi esperto, hein? Caralho. Quer dizer, esperto pra aquelas, né? Tipo, só ele dá dano. De dano zonas, menos dano. Mas o dano zonas é igual a não morre. Ele tá chamando o time, ó. Olha lá, chamou o time. Cara, chamou logo os Zuzlão pra dar TP, ó. Essa cal é boa, hein? Eu gosto dessa cal. Mas tem que ser rápido. Tem que ser rápido não, porque o time dele já largou já. Aí, mano. Eu até ia falar, mano, tá morto. Acho que o Faker pôs a ward e ó, os caras tão mirando ali. Como que eu tô morto aqui? Como que eu tô morto aqui?
T1 played so beautifully around Vision. T1 are playing, and this sounds so crazy, and Mal brought it up earlier, but they're playing RNG's game right now. This is the type of play that we saw from Xiaohu on Galio, all throughout MSI. Vision control that's set up deep, absolutely aggressive Vision control that allows you to make punish plays like this.
Eu gosto de bidar as
plays dele. É forte, eu acho legal.
O EZ já não morre, aí você faz umas zonas pra ele, é tipo me dar Death's Dance. Aquela merda de Death's Dance pra EZ. Com uma manopla. O maior alaço. Ih, caralho. Pegou uma Yoshi.
Going to survive, actually. The damage not quite there. Nuguri was not here. The flash comes in from Showmaker. They will take down the Calista.
Corre. Tá sem dano agora. Vamos matar o Duckdom. Mas o Duckdom tá de zonas. Morre mais.
Might be able to pick up Zeus here as he is going to hookshot over the wall and flash to get away from this one. Duckdom, again, still
não dá pra virar, não vira.
And the timing of this once again works out very well for Damwon Kia being able to set up for another Drake take.
Mas
he just got it.
He's gonna miss.
Sails wide.
Well, nice attempt there, but Zeus is preemptively kind of taking a weird angle, so that's less likely to hit.
30. I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is very important. Did you mention the Zhonya's that Duckdom has picked up?
No, I did
not. Eu mencionei, vocês estão demorando demais.
We saw his stopwatch earlier, we didn't discuss it, but
olha, ficou escuro. Meu Deus, que azar, mano. Tem muito azar também. Ficou escuro e aí o cara sobe, né, velho? Foda.
Yeah, we don't really need to watch this again, but he gets punished. But again, this is very difficult for Damwon Kia to do anything about.
Caraca, mano, vou ver se os caras querem fazer o draft da T1 hoje, mano. Perguntar pros caras, deixa eu falar que vocês vão perguntar pros caras se eles querem fazer o draft da T1. Foda que assim, os desfalcados de jungler, né?
They pull it off this time. Really nice splash
forward vai ter que ser eu, provavelmente, mas quem joga de Galio agora?
We got a fight right now. There's a huge taunt.
Pera.
Faker gets
Mano, eu perdi a fight aqui, eu lembro do bagulho, mas eles falaram que teve um huge taunt. Calista foi de caixa, mas eles não tem tanto boneco do outro lado também. E ainda tem dano no time. O Zilvol, olha lá. O Zilvol dá muito dano.
Be able to eventually, as
Será?
Kellen
Falou,
also there are no more
atropelado.
magical journeys for him. As T1 will
No
trade up by
journeys.
just one kill,
and that's
they
a Cloud
should be able
Soul.
to get the Cloud Soul.
Tem dano mais, ó.
Repete is good,
Tem
but
dano agora.
the
2/1/7,
carry in this team needs to be Nuguri, not Duckdom. Nuguri needs to somehow be the one who survives, but then he's not doing his job as Gwen. If he was actually quite literally immune throughout the entirety of some of these fights, then yeah, this would look very different.
It's massive. Nossa, cara, pegou 5. Nossa, tem Sparker dessa. Não foi um taunt gigante porque Galio não pode dar taunt flash. Agora é só flash taunt.
And Dum Dum, yeah, he can do a lot of damage, but he's an Ezreal here. There's just too much. There's too much tanking. There's too much engage. I mean, it's a Camille and a Lee Sin on top of you.
Yeah.
You can't last forever.
They're like healing. 1v2 versus an Ezreal.
So
Faker does.
5-man. He has control ward. He's on the other side, so there's just no way they could see him. They walked right into it. This is the second flash taunt play in this best of 3 from Faker that's game defining.
Yeah.
And how do you come back from this one now? Cloud Soul's up, Baron is live, T1 have so much damage, Callista's at 3 items. Maybe even Faker's here with death cap at this point.
Yeah, he's, you know,
he hits
Vou levantar outra pauta
from
aqui.
ahead, yeah. They're just able to
O
pick
que
up those
aconteceu
items
com a Death
would not have been
Dance?
able to, so
Tem uma Death Dance aqui, cara,
very
ainda.
nice to see.
Curioso, né?
He is going a damage build here. Certainly bolstering. It's not just
Tem
going
uma
to be
Death Dance
Guma.
ainda.
They have identified that he has been the main target, so Faker doesn't have to be a tank.
Pera
But
aí,
either
mano,
way,
tem uma
we
Death
are
Dance ainda.
looking
O Wonder vai fazer agora só,
at
mas
another
tem uma
fight
Death
here
Dance
around
ainda,
the
cara.
Baron. T1 once again just trying to deny as
Caraca,
much
velho.
vision as
O que o
possible.
cara fez de antes? Death
Force
Dance? Não
someone to
entendi.
come into that.
Pô, Death Dance é o item mais roubado do LoL. Foi nerfado? Nem sei, mano. Não é possível. Nem o Zeus LoL fez Death Dance ainda. Eu entendo que, tipo, a Hydra segunda garantido. Ih, olha lá, ó. Secret Baron. Não mais Secret agora. Deixa eu ver que ele tô agora.
Yeah, I mean, by the time they know, it's just too late. You have to fight for this, though.
For Fate. Destiny
Tempo.
coming on over.
Apagou a luz.
They're buying sometime the paranoia as well, but there's the smite and there is the engage from Carrier again. And Nuggery,
não tá morto mais não.
he can't even survive to throw out any needles.
Agora.
He can't do any damage because he just gets
tá vivo
100 to 0 as the turn.
Acabou.
Extremely clean here from the side of T1 is now owner.
O EZ
It's
tá
getting into
morto
that
logo.
backline.
Nossa!
Absolutely nuke Duck. He does not exist anymore. And that might just be the game at the end of this one. With the Baron, T1 should push the end.
T1 in control of this game from start to finish. One small error on top side, but beyond that, they just played a clean game of League of Legends.
Todas as plays que o Kenyon faz dá bom, né? Você viu? Não tem o que fazer.
Bye bye.
Stolen. Yeah. Either way,
No
a very clean 2-0 from T1.
Quem que ganhou
Absolutely a lot to see here, though. Both of these games were very entertaining.
And T1
Quem ganhou MVP dessa? Eu não sei. Eu acho que foi o...
The record set by
Cara, então,
SK
se for por play,
T1
Faker ganhou,
2015
mas...
of 23
Eu acho que vai ficar pro Wonderlaw dessa vez. É isso, guys. Tamo junto. Depois na descrição escreve quem ganhou o Pogdas. É nóis, tamo junto.